back at female dating strategies, and we're going to cover a topic that we've covered here before about the 80-20 rule of dating, except we are going to hear from the female dating strategies female perspective of the 80-20 rule. So let's get into it. You're going to see that it's so completely backwards and different than the reality. 80% of men desire only the top 20% of women. Male depravity. Think about it. If this wasn't true, then we wouldn't have tons of ugly men going after Instagram models. Men on Tinder not wanting marriage unless you look like a Stacy. Many women longing for love and marriage, but men being like the see no evil emoji monkey, purposely making themselves blind and deaf to how badly women want love and marriage and only paying attention to, you got it, the top 20% of women. I'm tired, so my grammar is bad, but in my experience, I don't see men going after their equals or wanting to wine, dine, and provide for their equals. Now, guys, I'm going to let you already give your thoughts, of course, down in the comments below. But then I'm going to, basically what I'm going to do is give you the only perspective that I think could make sense about where she's coming from. Because we all know as men that women, because of hypergamy, will only date men that they perceive as higher value. That's just always how it is. And you can look at this in a million different ways. You can see the stud CEO guy, he can marry a barista and be happy. It doesn't matter. However, will you ever see a CEO, a female CEO, super high status, makes a couple $100,000 a year? Would you ever see her date or marry a man, a boy-rista, a man barista? It just will never happen. There's so many different examples of that. So we know the 80-20 rule is actually in reverse, especially because of online dating apps giving women all these options. They keep going for the top of the top men, and women will never settle. So how can this make sense? How can we actually have this make sense? Well, here's what I think she's doing. Here's how I think that she's perceiving this. So let's go through this one more time. Think about it. If it wasn't true, we wouldn't have tons of ugly men going after Instagram models. Well, that's false, because I would say that there's just thirsty men across the spectrum. Ugly men, or what she deems as ugly, again, she might deem them ugly as they're not high status, so she sees them as ugly. So there's a lot of factors about this one, but let's just think about it. Instagram models are typically young and beautiful, which men are attracted to, youth and beauty. No surprise there, but just because ugly men shoot their shots doesn't mean they think they have the shots. We know plenty of guys that are thirsty. Men on Tinder not wanting marriage unless you look like a Stacy. Oh, well, here's an idea. Maybe because marriage itself is an absolute joke and a terrible deal towards men in today's current society. A lot of women don't take marriage seriously. Now, you could say it from a female's perspective, a lot of men don't take it seriously. Fine, but the truth of the situation is that if you get married, all of the risk and liability goes to men. So why the heck would any man want to get married? There's just no reason for it anymore. And a lot of these women have been doing their whole thing, sleeping around, doing all that stuff, thinking that later in life they'll catch a guy that wants to marry them, but it's no longer the case. That is going to tie in with how I believe she's perceiving this. Okay, now, many women longing for love and marriage, but men being like the see no evil whatever, purposely making themselves blind and deaf to how badly women want love and marriage and only paying attention to, you got it, the top 20% of women. No, how about this, ladies? How about this? Men pay attention to society and culture right now too. And what is it telling in society and culture? It's telling we don't need no man. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. So when you're saying that, oh yeah, women longing for love and marriage, really? Is that what we've been hearing with the whole sexual liberation, anything men can do, the future is female? Does that really make us men believe that women truly cherish love and marriage? Or does it make us men go, wow, these women are a joke. They don't understand what they had. And now they're going to push this BS propaganda. And then they're going to, refine themselves and sexually liberate themselves with all the different guys they can. And then when they hit 30, 35, 40, then they're mature enough to settle down for love and marriage like they've all been dreaming of their whole life. It's like, no, if that was true, then you would do what I have found. Again, the women that I know of in my own personal life that are still seemingly happy, they seem like they have a great family, and they're around, I could say, my age or a few years younger. These are women that knew from a young age they wanted marriage, and they didn't waste their time. How do I know this? Because I went on dates with some of these women where I could normally will sleep around, do whatever after a first date, and these women were very kind, respectful, but they knew what they were looking for, and they knew I was a player, and they knew I wasn't going to settle down, and so we left it at that. Those women knew what they wanted. They showed that they wanted love and marriage. Most women, 95% of the women these days, no. I don't believe that that's in their DNA. So now let's get to how this can all make sense. But in my experience, I don't see men going after their equals or wanting to wine, dine, and provide for their equals. So here's what her experience is. I guarantee she is past 30 years old. I can guarantee that. Because what she is thinking of now is that when she is 30, 35, 40, and now she's going, okay, this other 35-year-old guy or 40-year-old guy, maybe he's not the perfect guy that I could have scored in my 20s. Maybe he's not perfect, but I guess I could settle for him. But now she's finding that those guys are going, whoa, hold on, you're 40 and I'm 40? Nah, sorry, not looking for something long term. Because that guy wants something younger. So she's pretending that her entire, teenage and, 20s didn't happen and her 30s didn't happen. She's pretending that she wasn't one of these girls that was going for guys that brought way more to the table than she did. She just doesn't remember it because she just got all this free attention. Now that she's 35 or 40, now she's going, well, guys will no longer wine and dine and provide for their equals. Because you know what? Here's the deal. She now sees these other men as equals to her. The other 35 or 40-year-old men that she's going for. She now sees them as equals. So she's like, well, look, I see him as an equal and he doesn't want me. So guys don't want equals. But guess what, lady? Those same guys that at 35 and 40 right now that you go, yeah, they're my equals and they don't want me now. Those are the same guys that if you were both 20 or 25, you would have been like, oh, he's kind of cool, but he's boring. I'm going to see what else is out there. Those are the same guys that you did not see as your equal when you were more in your prime time of your sexual marketplace value. So to sum it all up, women believe that, and women are going to buy into this, that men are shallow and only go for the top 20% of women, when in reality, most men are completely out of the game. Most men are invisible to women. Most men, especially younger men, because women don't see a man until he can provide value for her life. That's opposite for men, because men still see women, right? Even if a woman is young and beautiful, you could say, it doesn't provide value to your life, but you still notice him. Women virtually don't see men that can't provide for them. They're just gone. They're just evaporated from her awareness. So I want to know what you guys think about this, because right here, this woman is claiming that men are the ones that will never date down or never date their equals. It's just totally wrong. But I'm wondering, what do you guys think? Do you think that the only way that this makes sense is that this lady is post-wall, and so now she's looking at it with a clouded mindset? Because this is not reality, what she's looking at. It's only her reality now that she hit the wall.
A great wall.
Haha, this post reminded me of the time an ex of mine told me I wasn't pretty enough to date him because I didn't dress up to go to dive bars, and other girls he dated put more effort into looking nice for him. I told him usually men who have that kind of standard usually hold themselves to it too. And he screamed and said that that was the meanest thing I ever said to him. Eye roll. Ha ha ha. Hard pass on low value men and their dramatic BS they want to put on anyone but themselves. Sidebar, when I did dress nice, he would accuse me of doing so to make him mad because other men thought I was attractive. Long story short, as soon as someone wants to make their insecurities yours, run, set the bridge on fire, and never look back. They don't even want to marry the top 20% of women. I had a coworker who was never anything particular special to look at. As he got into his 30s, he quickly started balding and getting fat. He had a girlfriend of 10 years who was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in person. Never wore makeup and was just always glowing. Eventually he proposed, but never seemed excited about it. We'd ask him questions about the wedding and he'd give short responses or not know the answer. She eventually left him, as you can imagine. He complained to us during the divorce that he never wanted to get married in the first place. Is this her? How did 171 people upvote this? Is this her trying to... Well, I don't understand what her point of this comment is. Look at this. He didn't want to get married. He probably knew for a reason. Maybe he was aware of the court system. Maybe he didn't quite trust her. Maybe she wasn't treating him like you see. Oh, she's beautiful, whatever. Maybe he didn't see how she was treating him behind the scenes. So, he was not excited. Eventually he proposed, but never was excited. She eventually left him, as you can imagine. And then she's like, well, look, it's his fault for never wanting to get married in the first place. It's like, do you understand, ladies? Do you understand? This is your comment, and 171 people upvoted it. And it's like, this is the exact point of why would men get married? Look, he eventually proposed. She eventually left him, as you can imagine. And then they laugh about it. This just proved the point. Guys, I can't do it. I can't read any more of the questions. It's backwards world on female dating strategies. It's totally backwards. But to finish up here, guys, how do you see it, right? I do believe that women go for the top, the top 20 or top 10% of men. And I believe you can look at all the stats of online dating and all that and to figure that out. Do you guys think that this is also true, that 80% of men desire only the top 20% of women? I don't think that's true because I know a lot of really high status men or guys that I consider, oh, those guys would be high status, and they're just like, they settled and they're happy. They're like, oh my gosh, the love of my life. And he obviously provides more value than she does. So that's what I've seen. Now, 80% of men desire, if it's just strictly desire, like, oh yeah, every guy wants one of the top, 20% most good-looking women. Well, duh. Well, duh. But the reality is, it's not that men only go for that. The reality for women is women only go for, they will only commit to the top 20% of men. Men maybe desire the top 20%, but men will fall in love and protect and provide for a good woman. She does not have to be the top 20%. The problem that many men are finding is, where are the good women at these days? Don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, share the video, but definitely subscribe.